Hello and welcome back to Math Class with Mr. Kura. Today we're going to be continuing to talk about linear equations, and we're going to be given an equation and asked to graph it. So the first and most important thing here is we need to memorize this equation. This is our linear equation in slope-intercept form, and it's y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. You're going to be hearing and seeing that a lot in your 8th grade math this year. So there's two parts here. There's two variables, the y and the x in this, and the m and b are going to be given to us to graph. So we see a couple equations down below here. So here's m. Then if I look down here, notice how the m is the coefficient of your x. So 2 is the coefficient of my x here, and b is right here, and then in my equation down here, this is my b. So when we're going through this, we're going to make some steps. My first step is to find m and b. So step number 1. Find m and b. Find m and b from the equation. So look at this. In our equations that we have down here, let's find m and b. So b is equal to -4, and m is 2. Now usually we want m to be a fraction, or we do want m to be a fraction. That's how we graph it. So if we do that, we have a whole number here. To turn a whole number into a fraction, we're just going to write it as 2 over 1. 2 over 1. So that's our m and b. Let's do the same thing with our next equation. So m and b. Which one's m? M is the coefficient of your x here, and b is the constant, or the number that doesn't have the x with it. So in this one problem, b is 3, and m is -2/3. That one's already a fraction. And I know a lot of times you see a fraction and maybe get scared or don't like fractions, but on this, the fractions, you need it to be a fraction, and it's actually a little bit easier when it is a fraction. So don't be too worried about that for these. All right, so we found m and b. Next step is going to be to plot b on the graph. Step 3 is going to be plot m on the graph. And finally, connect the dots to make a line. So find m and b, we did that. Plot b, we're going to do that in a minute. Plot m, we'll do that. And connect the dots to make a line. Before we go into actually graphing it, let's talk about our m a little bit more. So m, we can think of as the slope. M is the slope. That's another word that you'll hear. You can also think of it, this will be helpful, think of the fraction. This will be rise over run. So those are some important things we need to remember about m. M is slope, and that's also rise over run. Now our b is going to be our y it's going to be our y-intercept. So where does the line across the y-axis. If you watched our video from yesterday, we talked about y-intercepts. If you're not sure what that is, maybe check that video out. So now let's go down and try and graph these equations. So here's our equations. Let's do this one first. So first of all, we always start at the origin here, and then our step 2 said to graph b. So b is -4, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. There's my -4. Now I need to plot my m. So my m is 2/1, or we said this is rise over run. Rise over run. Well, what's my rise and run here? So rise, do you think rise is talking about going up and down or side to side? Rise is going up and down, and we have a +2, so I go up 2 and to the right 1. Now we're going to want to do that a couple times to make sure we have the I can't make the best line with just these 2 dots, so I'm going to do this a couple times. 1, 2, and the more dots I put, the more accurate my line is going to be. I'm going up 2 over 1, rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. Now I can do the opposite also. I was going up 2 to the right 1. I can also go down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1. Now if you have a ruler, that would help, or you can sketch it the best you can here. And then on your line there should be arrows on both ends of it. Those arrows say it goes on forever. It doesn't just end right there at this graph, but it goes on forever. So that's how we graph a linear equation. We'll do one more here. So let's find we found m and b. Now let's plot our b. Our b says to go +3, start at the origin and go up 1, 2, 3. Make a dot there. Now remember, this is rise over run. Now this one's negative, so do you think I should go up or down if it's negative? If it's down, if it's negative, I'm going down. So I go down 2, and I'm always going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3. Down 2, 1, 2, 3 to the right. Down 2, 1, 2, 3 to the right. Now let's do the opposite, starting at our y-intercept here. If I go up 2, think about if I went to the right. This isn't going to be a straight line, right? I would have to go to the left. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3. Up 2, 1, 2, 3. And then do your best here to connect the dots and put an arrow on the end of both ends here. And that's how you graph. I'll scoot these down so you can see them. That's how you graph linear equations. Follow the steps. I'll put them back up here. These are the steps. Find m and b using our slope-intercept form. Plot plot b on the graph. Plot m on the graph. Connect the dots to make a line. Once again, thank you for spending time in math class with Mr. Kerr, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.